Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Thank you for coming back for another episode. We're rounding up our phase 1 already. Time has passed. Today we're going to be talking about, I'll be showing you how to plant, move your things outdoors. And then I'll also be talking about fertilizers, what to do now that your plants are approaching the flowering and fruiting phase as well. But before we start on this episode, I'd like to say a big thank you to those who may have liked, subscribed, shared, reached out, asked questions, shared their wonderful green baby pictures with me. I'm super stoked and excited. So we're going to move outdoors. I'll show you what to do when you're transplanting, how to mix your compost, mix your fertilizer, mix your calcium, all of those. We'll do that shortly. But for now, I want to discuss fertilizers. Remember then when we're planting our seedlings, we talked about NPK and having a higher nitrogen ratio during the early stages. Now we're moving into the flowering and fruiting phase, so we need to have a higher potassium, a higher P ratio. So now you're moving for food for your plants. When you're moving to buy food for your plants, look for fertilizers with a higher P ratio. As I said, I like to think of my plants as my green babies. We finished with the 3 to 6 months food for our babies. We're now moving to the semi-solids, so that's what it is. So just look out for that. So I'll just turn the camera around so I can actually show you the different fertilizers and what to look out for. So this is my fertilizer loot. I have organic bone meal. I like to use bone meal because it's organic, and then it has a high phosphorus ratio, which is 10, which is good, and it comes in granular form, so you just sprinkle on your plants periodically, on the grass soil of your plants periodically. Follow the instructions. You also have the fertilizer sticks. This also has a high ratio. It has 18%. And they claim this is mainly for tomatoes. This one, you just stick it in, and then after every 8 weeks you check to see it. You can read the instructions beside. I also use the organic based tomato food. This one comes with calcium and it's like a sprinkle. You just shake and pour in it. And then this is also the inorganic one, same like we discussed in the previous episode. You just pour it into water mixed and then use it to fertilize your plants. So whichever one you decide to go with, there's options there. Read your instructions. If you're concerned about what the N, P or K means on the fertilizers, check episode 6 or 7 of the past episodes. I went into detail explaining the NPK, what the numbers mean and how to do your calculations based on that. So stay tuned as we move outdoors. I'll be showing you how to plant in the soil, how to plant in a container, and how to plant in a garden bed. See you soon. So these are the plants. I'm just going to show you how to plant. For this one, as you can see, it's very, very long. So I'm just going to lay it on the side for now. And then we take it from there. What you would need as we are getting ready is gloves, your compost, your soil, your fertilizer, and all the good stuff. And also if you have your eggshells, you can bring them along as well. I'll show you with the planting in the planter. I'm bringing the container, and this is for my cherry tomatoes, the small planter. So I have my compost here. So I'm just going to first of all mix my soil with compost. Then if I want to add eggshells, which I like to do for my tomatoes, I also add a handful of the crushed eggshells as well, and then mix it in. And then if I'm using bone meal, I also add a little bit of the bone meal in there as well, and then I mix. And when you're putting in your tomatoes, try to get your roots as deep as possible. So I'm going to more or less dig, try to get a big hole, And then for my top, what I'll do is turn it upside down to get it out. Mash this a little bit just so that it's soft. Then as deep as I can, bury my tomato in, and then cover with my soil. And then once that's done, I will water it right here. And then water. Voila, that should be fine. Tomatoes like heat and like the sun, so try to find a sunny space in your garden to put your tomato plants in. So this is for your containers. This is an indeterminate species, so I don't need to put any staking. When I show you how to plant in the ground, I'll show you with a little bit of caging to stake it. You can stop. When you're working with a raised bed, it's like a bigger space. Like you're doing more like imagine doing multiple buckets at the same time. So I'm just going to mix my compost. I'm going to add my calcium. I'm going to add some of the bone here. When you're ready to plant, dig as far deep as possible to get to a very deep space. I think this is easier to get. Oh, good home. Turn your plant from your cup upside down. Rejiggle it a little bit. Place it as far deep as you can, and then cover. If you have lower leaves, you can remove the lower leaves. If not, you leave them there. And then like this one here, it's a bit too low to the ground, so I can actually remove that and then stack it up, because since it's going upwards, you want to have enough air to circulate around the bottom of your plant. And once that's done, don't worry about pruning. We'll talk a bit more about pruning as we continue with the planting. And once that's done, you're good. Then water. I think this is equally a indeterminate breed, so I'm not going to use a cage for now. So there, and then you water as you would your regular water. Same thing, checking into your soil to make sure that your soil is moist and it's a good home for your plants. So this is how to plant your tomatoes. To plant into the ground, you just mark the spot where you want to plant. I'm using trampoline nylon as my mulch just to prevent weeds from coming. So you get the space in, and then you dig as deep as possible. I am using the soil I'm bringing out just as a support to hold my nylon bag down. Put in some compost. And then your plant, you turn it over with a little cup, and then you just massage it a bit, and then you plant it deep. If you find out that you have deep roots and you need to knock off the lower leaves of your plant, that's okay. If I think this one should go as well, because we don't want to have low leaves towards the floor, whereby when you're watering, you're actually going to be watering the leaves. What you also do in that space is to add your calcium, and also I like to add a bit of bone meal in there, and then I mix compost and soil and compost and soil and compost and soil, just in layers, and then I put in the plant support. If you're growing indeterminate tomatoes, you need support, and this is the best time to put your support. So put your support, a bit more soil over that, a little bit of compost over that, and then once you're done, you water. Voila. If you're using the fertilizer sticks, you can put in the fertilizer now, but since you've already mixed like the bone meal in there, you can just wait like a week or two before you put in the fertilizer sticks, depending on what you're using, and then you just continue for watering as you would preferably. And that's how to plant or transplant, move your plants outdoors. Okay, just a couple of tips and tricks before we end the episode. Irrespective of how lovely the weather is, especially in Calgary this past couple of days, it's advisable for you to wait up until after the May long weekend to plant outside, because temperatures here can be quite epileptic. So just an FYI, that's best practice. And secondly, if you have banana peels, you can start saving your banana peels to soak in water, because that's a very, very good organic source of phosphorus as you move your plants outdoors. Hopefully very soon they'll start flowering and fruiting, and this is the time that your plants will need as much phosphorus as they can get. And then as we round off phase 1 of the indoor planting, moving outdoors, my next episode is going to be on lessons learned. I'm doing, but I'm still learning, and I have a number of lessons learned. So I'm putting together an episode next on lessons learned we have learned in terms of indoor planting. And if you could share your own lessons learned, so we could actually build a community of lessons learned for everybody that's planting, so we're able to share and learn from each other, that would be greatly appreciated. Just a couple of things to note as your plants move outdoors in terms of feeding. Tomatoes and peppers are heavy feeders. They need strong nutritional foundation to support their growth. Use fertilizers high in phosphorus. That's the middle number on your fertilizer, because it encourages strong root development after transplanting and also promotes flowering and fruiting. Swap out high nitrogen. Nitrogen promotes leaves and not flowers. Apply some fertilizer at transplant time, and please do not over fertilize. Follow the instructions for fertilizing. Also, make sure you pay attention to your plants. If you see the leaves are pale, then you need more nitrogen. If there's find out that they're growing and no flowers, then increase the phosphorus and potassium. Sometimes, depending on the environment you're moving things to, your plants may experience transplant shock. Transplant shock is the stress that your plants go through when it moves from one environment to the other. That's why we recommend hardening it. If you missed the episode on hardening or wondering what hardening is, there was an episode done on it. Just check the archive, you'll find the episode on hardening, where it shows you a schedule on how to harden your plants before moving them outdoors, to prevent transplant shock when you finally move them to their final resting place. And if you realize that your plants are experiencing transplant shock, do not panic. What you need to do is to water gently and consistently at the base to reduce stress on the leaves. If it's too sunny, provide temporary shade. Don't use fertilizer right away. Give the plant time to adjust. Remove any dead leaves around the plant. Mulch around the base to protect roots from temperature swings. And most importantly, be patient. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe. See you next time. Bye bye.